Hey everyone, welcome back. If you're into DIY solar or professional installer looking for the quickest, safest, and most efficient way to get panels on a roof, stick around. Today, we're tackling the revolutionary TopSpeed mounting system by SnapNrack. The SnapNrack TopSpeed mounting system is a game changer, guys. Let me hit you with some key features. Number 1, quick and easy mounting. Assemble your adjustable base, wood fasteners, and a leveling tower all in one. Once assembled, these speed up your install exponentially. Number 2, faster installations. Attach the mounts and complete the preliminary wiring management to your solar panels on the ground, reducing time and hazards on the roof. Number 3, universal skirt. The skirt is compatible with both portrait and landscape orientations. This not only gives you the freedom of choice and gives you a nice finishing look, but also becomes your source of grounding for your PV module. The skirt can be cut to accommodate different lengths of the first row. Number 4, not only are you going to see that this is a simple solution to installing your PV module, but the SnapNrack TopSpeed mounting system is also UL listed to standard 2703 for grounding, bonding, and fire classifications. Simple and safe. How can you go wrong? Let's take a quick look into what makes the SnapNrack TopSpeed not just fast and safe, but also incredibly robust. The TopSpeed system is crafted from alloy aluminum and 300 series stainless steel, ensuring durability and resistance against weather conditions. Having undergone rigorous testing to ensure durability under specific conditions, this system is engineered to handle wind speeds between 90 and 180 miles per hour and snow loads from 0 to 90 pounds per square foot. From flat rooftops to steep angles, this system is compatible with roof pitches from 0 to 90 degrees. Is there still a roof at 90 degrees? Whatever you think, this mount is rated and tested to handle it. Be advised, however, that these mounts are only certified for sloped roofs greater than 7 degrees. TopSpeed has passed the TAS 100A testing for wind and wind-driven rain in accordance with the Miami-Dade County requirements, which are considered the most stringent in the country. And don't forget about the certifications we mentioned above. UL listed meeting 2703 standards and also approved by registered professional engineers. So there you have it. The SnapNrack TopSpeed isn't just fast and easy, it's also technically superior, making it a reliable choice for your next solar installation project. Let's talk about the specific components. Your TopSpeed mount will need to be assembled, but once you've got it installed there, you're good to go. Everything is ready. You've got your self-sealing wood screws, and your screws are already included in the mount. You will also have some spacers that will allow for easy install when you're connecting this to your skirt. There is a TopSpeed clamp, which will allow you to connect different lengths of your skirt together, as well as for extra overhang on your solar panels when you need to change your orientations of your modules. We have our grounding lug. We have our Easy Connect MLPE adapter, as well as some wire management clips. Interested in researching how this could work for you? How do you get started? SnapNrack has a wonderful configuration tool, which we have linked on the signaturesolar.com website, that will take you through a series of questions about your local area and setup. It will provide you with a bill of materials from which you can make your purchase with a simple list of all components and quantities needed. Also, if you still have questions, you can go to our Contact Us section for our contact information. Let me point out a few things. Of course, we've got our phone number up here at the top. Also, if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, you see that we have our phone number and an email address which you can reach out to for support. Also, if you go to our Contact Us tab, see the Contact Sales card here. You can click on Contact Sales and you can fill in this information to request someone to call you about your particular needs. Let's find our configuration tool. Now, we are talking about mounting solar panels, so we'll go to the Solar Panel tab, go down to Mounting Hardware, and this will give you all the mounting hardware that Signature Solar currently sells. But to make it easier, we know this is a roof mount, so we're going to go to Roof Mounts, and then we'll select only SnapNrack TopSpeed mounting system. This will give us all the components that are SnapNrack brand. Now, this is our main component right here, the TopSpeed mount. If we click on this, it's going to link us to our configuration tool here on the bottom right. So if I click here, it's going to ask me for all the information that is needed for it to give us what we need for our project. You don't have to enter project info, but I'm going to go ahead and enter company name. My project name for this, we'll do test installation. Now, in the video, we have used smaller panels, which are not really residential grade, just to keep our display smaller. We used Grape Solar 100 watt panels, but for our configuration tool, we're going to go ahead and put in some panels that it will give us the specifications that it already has. If you find that your panels are not listed in here, there is a custom option where you can enter in your custom model name. You can enter in the power ratings, and it will, if you want to enter in the length and the width, the depth, and all of that, you can enter all that in here. I have chosen to use something that we sell at Signature Solar, Canadian solar panels. Ours is the CS6R MSHL 400 watt panels. And notice it automatically calculates and knows the length, the width, the depth, and all of that. Now, we have to put in our site conditions. You may want to research your area for what your building code is. I researched here in East Texas that we use 2018 IBC with an exposure rating of B. Of course, there's lots to select here on this drop-down menu. Now, if we go to our snow load, we don't get a whole lot of snow here in East Texas. That would be a good thing to look up to rate it for what is the possibility of the most pounds per square foot that you can get snow. We usually get not much, between 1 and 10 pounds per square foot, and our wind speed here usually doesn't get over 110 miles per hour. Now this is where you can ask for extra parts because your bill of materials will give you exactly what you need for what you tell them. Are you going to have any MLPE attachments? Do you need those kits? I'm not going to attach any, so I'm going to say no. If you have some optimizers that you want to add to your modules, you might want to say yes here. Are you going to add a junction box, or do you already have it? I'm going to say no, I don't need a junction box. Do you want wire management clips? These are great to have to keep your wires off of your roof. I'm going to have it auto-calculate how many of those that I need, but you could say you don't want any or you want a custom amount. I'm going to leave it at auto-calculate. And if you want some wire savers here, this would be once you install your panels, if your wire happens to come out of your wire clips and you need to fix it and don't want to have to remove all the panels to get to it, a wire saver would help you to easily pull that wire back off of the roof and onto your panel. I'm going to say let's have 2 wire savers, and then extra ceiling screws. It's always good to have extra screws on hand. For mine, which is a small array, I'm going to say 3 extra ceiling screws. Now, if I have created an account, I could save this and come back to it, and it would keep all of my settings. I'm not going to save right now. I'm going to go to configure arrays. And this is where you're going to tell it how many panels are you going to have in your array. How many panels in your row? I'm going to say 4. And how many modules per row? Let's say 4 again. This starting module orientation, you can have landscape or portrait. This is only for your first row of modules. I'm going to install my first row as landscape. Our roof pitch is going to be between 0 and 7 degrees. You have some other selections here. Leave it at 0 to 7. This just shows you how many attachments per module side for each zone. And if you have a special case, what that means is perhaps you needed to rotate some of yours into portrait orientation, and we'll look at that more closely here, but special cases where they're not all in the same orientation. Our building height, we have a 1-story roof that we are installing this on, so I'm going to say 0 to 30 feet. However, you can have other options. I'm going to say start. And it has given me my array. So this is what it looks like. And I can select and do some different things to this. I can say, well, this is a corner piece. It's really not going to do that much for me for this project that we're doing, but I can label all of these as corner. I can label my edge pieces if I want. and so on and so forth. The main part of this that is going to be really important to you is that, let's say you need to go around a vent or a chimney. We can select one of these panels that I need to rotate to make space to go around a chimney, and I can hit Shift and click to select more than one. I can rotate these panels for my chimney here. Let me reset this. We'll go back to 4, go back to 4, and save, continue. Now, if I do nothing to this at this point with them all in landscape orientation, I can see a key down here. I have a green circle, which is mounts without spacers, a yellow circle that is mounts with spacers, a blue square, clamps without spacers, and a red square, clamps with spacers. Let's go ahead and say validate, and it's going to show us where all of these components are going. So now let me point out again, these are larger modules than what we actually used in the video. So we have some things in here that you didn't see us install. We have some red squares, which are clamps with spacers. You only need spacers where you're installing your skirt. So these clamps are where the skirt is joining together. So we have 4 different lengths of skirt here that we're joining together. Now our yellow circles are mounts with spacers. These are our regular mounts, but they do need spacers on them to accommodate the skirt. So that's why these circles are different colors than these, because these are the same mounts, but they don't have spacers. So you can see the exact components that I need for this. If I go back, no, I'm not going to go back. I'm just going to rotate these again like we did before to go around our chimney. And if I needed to move these for a vent, I could select both of these and I could use the arrow and I could move them over to accommodate different things. Now what you're going to see here is when I validate this time, I have a few more components that are needed. I've got some additional blue squares here. Those are clamps without spacers. Again, I don't need the spacers because they're not on my first row to accommodate my skirt, but I do need some extra clamps because in this orientation, notice the mounts that would go down on the roof and are already awaiting the next panel to be inserted into it. This panel would only be supported by one mount from the panel before. So I need some extra clamps to be able to support it evenly. Now this other one, it does take into account the 2 mounts that are already installed on the panels before that, so no extra clamps are needed for that one. So if we keep them all in the same orientation, we can see that it requires less components. Now one other thing I want to show you is I'm going to add an array, and this array is going to be what I'm actually going to put on our display in the video. It's going to be a 2x2 array, and I'm going to keep it all in landscape orientation, and I'm going to say validate. Now I can see that because these are larger panels than what I'm actually using, I will need 1 clamp to clamp the skirt together. I have 12 mounts, and I have 4 that need spacers, and I have 8 that do not. So let's calculate our bill of materials. Notice we have 2 arrays. We have our first array that we went through and explained. We have our second array here, and the second array is what we're actually going to use. But if I go to calculate bill of materials, this will tell me exactly what this project will require with both arrays. Let's say I needed 1 array on the front side of my home and 1 array on the back side of my home. So it tells me all the information that I put in, what kind of panels I'm using, and then for my first array, how many components that I need. For my second array, how many components that I need, and then in my proposed bill of materials, it calculates all of the components that are needed for this project for both arrays. Now, one thing I do want to note here is the part numbers are the SnapNrack part numbers. They're not the same part numbers that are listed on the Signature Solar website, but you should be able to find it by the name pretty easily. Now, if I keep going down, I can see there's where all the components go and what my first array should look like. There's my second array and where the components should go. And I can also see how much my system will weigh, how much area that it's taken up, and what the distributed load is. If I export this to a PDF, I can see here's my tool report. For each array, I've got all of my components. Here's my bill of materials list, which I can make my purchases from. And then down below are the specifications of the layout that I put into the configuration tool. And this is for good reference when I'm actually starting my install. And here's the one that we will actually be installing. And that's your configuration tool for SnapNrack, which gives you a really easy way to find and purchase the materials that are needed. Now let's get to the exciting part. How do you install this thing? Let's do it. As you will always hear us say, keep safety first. Remember to wear appropriate safety equipment, fall protection, and appropriate ladder safety equipment. Safety glasses and gloves will be appropriate and necessary for this installation. Plan your layout and mark your first line of install. When planning your layout for your solar panels, be sure and calculate with a 3/4 inch or 0.75 inch gap between all rows and columns. On your roof plan, clearly mark where each panel will attach based on the guidelines from the TopSpeed structural engineer document. You will also want to identify your home run lines as well as your junction box locations. Mark your first install line, outside panel to outside panel, where the mounts will go on your first row, as well as where the center of the array will be. Mounts must be installed within a single course of a shingle. Overlapping will not work. Install your TopSpeed mounts at locations drawn during the skirt layout. Ours have been drawn with an arrow in 4 different places here. Fill both cavities on the bottom of the TopSpeed mount with roof sealant. M1 waterproof sealant is recommended as that's what these were tested with. Roof sealant should be expelled from both vents on the mount as it is installed to ensure the proper amount of roof sealant has been applied. If you don't see the sealant ooze slightly from the top holes, remove the mount, add more sealant to the cavity, then reinstall. Attach the TopSpeed mount to the roof using the number 14 wood screws and a 1/2 inch socket with an impact driver to fasten into the retained wood. To set the TopSpeed mount level, loosen the leveling bolt and move the clamp up or down, then tighten the leveling bolt and torque to 16 foot-pounds. Pull the string line tight from one corner mount to the opposite corner mount and align and level all mounts between the end mounts. Universal spacers will need to be added to the mounts and clamps where the skirt will be installed. Next, we will install the skirt. Remember, this serves as the grounding point as well as an alignment for the rest of your array. Install the universal skirt by holding the skirt in mount, sliding skirt to align with array layout marks, and clamping skirt into mount. If you needed to connect 2 skirts together, you could use the TopSpeed clamp, and that would go here in the middle to connect these 2 pieces of skirt. Next, we'll prep our modules. We can prep our modules on the ground by attaching the pre-assembled TopSpeed mounts. We're going to assemble all the TopSpeed mounts required for installation. We'll slide the clamp tower assembly into the angle bracket riser and tighten the leveling bolt to 16 foot-pounds. Position the TopSpeed mount clamp on the module frame within the module manufacturer's required clamping zone. This is usually about 8 to 16 inches from the end of the panel. Clamps must be in the allowable space. 12 inches is usually a good safe distance. Remember, we do not have to look for rafters because we would just be screwing down into the roof decking, which is why wind speed for install location is very important. We will tighten the clamping bolt to 16 foot-pounds. Only 2 mounts are required per module, 1 on each side. Now for high load conditions, you might want to add a 3rd attachment in the middle of the module frame. Attach mounts before attaching any MLPEs. If using MLPEs, those can now be attached as well. Connect your MLPEs onto the frame between your mounts. Connect the module leads to the input connectors on the MLPE device. Use the SmartClip 2 or SmartClip XL for up to 6 wires to keep the conductors routed away from the non-bonded components. Next, we'll apply the ground lug. The ground lug can be attached anywhere along the module frame or any TopSpeed mount near the junction box. Torque module clamping bolt to 8 foot-pounds. I'm going to attach it to my first panel in my array, but later, when you have your junction box installed, You will run 10 to 6 gauge solid bare copper wire into the ground lug channel and torque your wire clamping bolt to 8 foot-pounds. You will run your copper wire from your ground lug to your junction box. Bond your bare copper electrical grounding conductor to stranded EGC in the junction box. For details on installing the junction box, please reference the junction box installation manual. Please be aware the ground bond must be maintained at all times for safety. If a panel is needing to be removed for maintenance, there is a risk of electric shock. Please refer to your manual for specific steps that must be followed to maintain continuous bonding and safety. We are now ready to begin installing our panels. Safely lift the modules onto the roof. Remember, the mounts are already attached, making this a breeze. Rock module in by resting the downslope edge of the module on the mounts and/or clamps. Position your module so the side edge is flush with the marked edge of array layout or skirt. Lower the upslope edge of the module while simultaneously applying slight pressure to seat the module into your mounts. Verify the mount is positioned entirely on a single course of composition. If necessary, adjust the base by loosening the bolt, adjusting, and retightening. Level the module by adjusting the bolt on the top clamp as needed. Once the module is leveled, lift the upslope edge of the module and fill the cavities with roofing sealant, making sure you have enough sealant to be expelled from both vents. Lower the module to the roof and use your impact with a 1/2-inch socket to fasten the wood screws to the decking. Use the rubber washer on the ceiling deck screws as an indicator of tightness. When you see the rubber washer squish or slightly bulge, it is properly tightened. Repeat steps 1 to 5 for additional modules in the array. Be advised, for staggered arrays and arrays with mixed orientation, use the TopSpeed clamp as needed to give extra support to the modules. When installing a clamp for support of a module that is not equally supported, the clamp shall be installed 2 to 6 inches from the edge of the upslope, cantilevered, or overhanging module. Safety is the key here. By letting you attach mounts to modules on the ground, TopSpeed minimizes your time and risks on the roof. If you compare apples to apples where wind speed is within requirements, how does this stack up against the competition? Honestly, there's no competition. SnapNrack TopSpeed has literally snapped the rack game. Where some PV installations take all day or more, this TopSpeed installation can easily save you time by cutting your install by 30% or more. There you have it, the SnapNrack TopSpeed mounting system in all its glory. To level up your solar installation, or for any questions, reach out to us at Signature Solar. Don't forget to hit that like button if you found this video helpful. Subscribe and ring that bell to stay updated with the best in solar solutions. I'm Kelly with Signature Solar, where we believe that solar is for everyone.